Ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for the XRRL series. I'm your host, Insane Layer 13, here as always, covering the races. It's Azerbaijan this week. That's what the XRL series is going to be checking out. All 5 tiers of significance will be right here. Earlier today it was the developmental league. Now today we're going to be seeing the full length, 100% length race at Azerbaijan. And then tomorrow, X1, X2, and X3 will all be taking to the same circuit. But for right now, we're only looking at about 13 drivers going in. Now, there's at least one, maybe 2 drivers who have anticipated to show up in the race itself, but they'll miss qualifying. So we could have a slightly different field by the time that everything gets set up. But before we get into the race itself, I want to go ahead real quickly and just showcase who is representing who in the field. Right now for the Mercedes team, it's XRL Herbie and XRL Seal. In the Scuderia Ferrari team, it's Ryan Hurricane and XRL Ledger. For the Aston Martin Red Bull team, it's Kinsey Retro and Level 6 Beastie. XRLO representing McLaren, while Danny JJ A02 is representing Renault. In the Scuderia AlphaTauri team, it's Hazel, while in the Racing Point team, they're being represented by XRL Zola. Then for the Alfa Romeo team, it's XRL Ollie. There are currently no representations for the Haas team, and it's XRL Ultimate and MCR Path who are representing the Williams team right now. Street Circuit, the first street circuit of the series for the XRRL season. We could be looking at a very, very interesting event here because this track has some up and downhill variations around the castle section, a lot of high speed and sections leading right into very, very tight, narrow corners. A lot of instances where you're seeing drivers in real life, and this game Bennett here. We've also seen quite a few instances where guys have had accidents and issues. The very first race I covered for the XRL League was X3 when they were running here, and in a 20-car field, only 10 of them were running at the finish. This goes to show you how purely chaotic this entire circuit can lend itself to being. However, right now we're looking at a slightly smaller field. That means that we may see less instance as this race goes on. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying that leads to like a lower likelihood of instance. Stand by for just a second until we can get the race underway here. We're getting word that Wax and Pinqua will more than likely join in the middle of qualifying. Now, whether it will be in the middle of qualifying sessions 1 or 2 or 3 is up for debate still. So right now we're just waiting to get underway. Here we are. Another driver has joined. That is going to be the other Alpha driver. That will be XRL Wax. So we're still waiting to see if Pinqua will be able to join or not before we get too far underway in the event itself. We currently have 14 drivers here. If that's the case and we maintain 14 driver field, that means that, like we saw in the first 2 races, Q1 won't really have a whole lot of value to it outside of just putting down an install app and hopefully not totaling the car going forward. Just stand by right now until we get underway for the race itself. We're getting word from XRL Ledger that they should be going green very shortly here. Interesting enough, Young Maneuver is not here, and Young Maneuver has been putting on some fantastic drives in the last 2 events, but he doesn't seem to be here right now, so hopefully he shows up in time for the race itself, because he definitely makes these events significantly more interesting as we prepare to get underway here, as everyone's now readying up. Beep. Here we are, blowing up the circuit itself now. Still waiting on Herbie and Hazel to be properly loaded into the pit lane. Alright, Hazel is. Now we're just waiting on Herbie. There we are. Standing by right now, waiting to see what the first car to come off the track is going to be. And interesting enough, Ledger has apparently elected to at least begin this qualifying session on intermediates. I don't know if he'll go out onto the track on intermediate tires, but again, right now, with the way it's looking, everyone who is currently here will advance into qualifying session 2. So there's no real harm in jumping onto the intermediates and just bumming a lap on them if you know that you can just set a time and you're automatically going to advance. Yeah, it looks like Ledger's going to try and be one of the first, if not the first driver to come out onto the racetrack. Ledger on the exit out, bringing the Scuderia Ferrari number 27 onto the racecourse now. He is being joined by what looks to be one of the Williams, and that would be the driver XRRL Ultimate, who's following him now. See Red Bull, that is Beastian, who is on his way down the track right now, and behind him he has a Mercedes. That is going to be the Mercedes of XRRL Steel, who's also trying to get onto the circuit now. Now it's going to be interesting to see them come through the castle section here. The castle section is normally very, very difficult. These intermediates do not have a lot of grip, so there is a bit of a risk turning these lap or two on the intermediates because you have less grip. It's going to be significantly harder to properly make the corners here in the castle section. Mind for now, this is the really, really difficult part. Oh! And we were riding on board with Ultimate there, and you saw right as we were riding on board, he smacked the inside wall with the rear end of the car. It doesn't look like there's any serious damage on it, but it is something to take note of. Steel is on the soft tire compounds and actually seems to be pushing with some moderate seriousness here. This is Beastian. He's one of the other drivers who are running on the intermediate tires. And that Hazel has had something happen to him coming through here. Now Hazel has gotten underway again. But there's definitely going to be some damage on that car by the looks of it. We're going to try and get a look here. It looks like there is wing damage on the left side wing. And now he's going to have to be extremely cautious right now. Can't just go flying flat out. Oh, he hits another wall. This run here is downhill. That's one of the things, this track, because of the way it's set up, it's very, very sensitive when it comes to aerodynamic properties. A little bit of aero damage can mean an instant death for you here. It looks like actually both sides of the league are now damaged for Hazel. He's going to want to seriously consider coming into pit lane here. And I imagine we'll see him coming in shortly. Yep, there he is. Meanwhile, this is XRRL Ultimate. Hurricane has retired from the session. They retire in the pits. Yeah, it looks like Hurricane's retired from the pits, apparently. He's not even going to attempt to set a lap. It's a very interesting choice, to say the least. Meanwhile, this is MCR Path. He is in the other Williams right now, one of the fastest drivers in all of XRRL. One of the big appeals of this 100% series is that the fastest drivers are put in the slowest cars, and the slowest drivers are put in the fastest cars. And I've seen both Ultimate and Path put on some very interesting runs, to say the least, in this league because of that. Lowe is now beginning his outlap. This is Ultimate as he's coming down. He will set the first lap of the day, and his time will be the benchmark for Q1. Not a very impressive benchmark, though, 154.037. Oh, and Leisure has apparently retired from the session as well. Kenzie Retro is retiring from the session. So a bunch of drivers are retiring from the session in the pit lane, not going to artificially stretch out qualifying by any means. Again, this is more of an extended glorified practice session, considering that there are only about 13, 14 cars here. There are only 14 cars right now. So this is basically a glorified practice session. Path now beginning his flying lap. Very careful here. A lot of very, very difficult 90-degree corners, which also makes it very hard to set up properly. Zola has now set his first lap of 204.259. Interesting, both of the drivers who have set their lap times have done it on intermediate tires. Now, Danny has gone ahead and set a lap time of 156.846. Once again, now Path is going to go through this very, very difficult section here. Bounces off the wall just a little bit. Gotta be very careful. He's able to keep it together. Beastie has set a lap time now of 226.752. Again, with only 14 cars, all of them are basically guaranteed to make it into qualifying session 2, assuming nothing bizarre happens. And now Pinquo has joined, so we are now up to 15 cars. Well, Pinquo is doing the lobby. He's not apparently on the track yet. Now this is where it's going to get interesting, because there's this long, high-speed straight, but it's not a true straight. There are a lot of little bends in it, and if you bounce off a wall, it can absolutely destroy your day. Ultimate is now retired from the session. No need to continue wasting fuel or anything. Path is going to come down across the line. This will be one of the fastest times we see, because he's on the softs, 140.835. That may be a good example of the times we'll actually see in the race itself. Meanwhile, this is XRRL Low as he's at the top of the hill, the top of the castle section now. Now again, the gradual run downhill. You hear that McLaren kind of want to step itself out as they're coming downhill there. Now Pinko has officially joined. about 10 minutes and 15 seconds left. There's definitely time for him to go. Oh, wow, that didn't go well for Lowe whatsoever as the car has gone completely around there. A lack of grip on the intermediates, and that McLaren goes right around while he was trying to set a lap. There is wing damage on the Thane. Zola is now retired from the session. There is wing damage on the McLaren. We're right on board with them as it happened. And I'll be interested to see, will he continue this lap and just creep at a slow pace around the circuit, or will he bring it into the pits? And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to bring it into the pits to avoid being an issue for other drivers. This is Herbie, as he is in the Mercedes. He's already gotten by the most difficult section of the track. Oh, wow, what is Beastian doing there? Something has happened to Beastian's machine. He's out of fuel, or at least very low on fuel. For that reason alone, he is going extremely slow, pretty much creeping around the circuit right now. And there is some wing damage on the car as well. Now, the good news for Beastian is that Hazel is the next person to come up, and Hazel is a long way back from him right now. So the risk of him getting run over by Hazel is extremely low at the moment. Danny is now retiring from the session. He'll need to continue pushing it. You could at least use the ERS to get the pits a little faster, I'd imagine. But whatever. This is Hazel. Meanwhile, Hazel has the second fastest lap time thus far, 1:40.851. As he is now lighting it up, going down the main straight here. This is the true main straight. Around that bend is when the true main straight starts, but it's all, you're basically full throttle through most of sector 3 here, so. Will he improve? He will not improve. He's actually significantly down on time, but he stayed out another lap on the softs. While Herbie is navigating around the very last serious corner, that's now just going to be all full throttle for Herbie now. No, that's not Herbie I'm looking at. That is Steele. I'm looking down the map. Steele, very low on fuel, just trying to bring it into the pits right now. No need to push. Next closest car on track is Herbie, and he's still way back there in Sector 2. Wax is now officially retired from the session. Pinko has yet to set a time. Ollie is out right now on an outlap, as is Lowe on another outlap, and they're both trying to set times. Herbie is in the middle of a time right now, as we see him now going down the main straightaway. 133, 134, 135, 136, 137, 138, 139, 140, 141, and there's your time, 141.384. So the time from the Mercedes cars are very, very comparable to each other right now. Lowe is now running his way down the circuit, and Ollie is pretty much at the top of the castle section right now. Steele is retired from the session. I imagine we'll see Hazel bring it into the pits, and he'll probably decide to retire from the session now as well. And no, it looks like Hazel is staying out another lap. I'm curious to see if maybe Hazel is trying to see how far you can push the soft tire compounds. Of course, the biggest risk of doing that, though, is that you run the risk of the tires giving up so much grip that you end up totaling the car and destroying it, and that would keep you from advancing to the next session. But if you can avoid doing that, you believe you can avoid doing that, I guess it would be a decent attempt at least. This is Lowe, and here's Pinko, who's going to get overtaken by the McLaren. Pinko right now on an outlap. He's going to have to try and set a lap. There's about a little bit more than 5.5 minutes left in the session, so as long as Pinko is not too aggressive, he'll be able to set a lap without too much of an issue. Around this corner, this is a little straight here. Now there's a sharper than 90-degree corner right here, and around there, excuse me, up here, this is the second gear corner. That's very, very hard to maximize. He's actually going to take it in third there. He's going to pull over to let Ollie by. As Ollie goes ahead and creeps by now. Low, still on a flying lap here. It's green, but this is where he spun out earlier. Can he avoid that happening again? Looks like he will. DRS will pop open on the straight now. There it is. And at the line, the McLaren is going to put down a moderately competitive time. 141.279. It's the third best we've had thus far in this section. This is Ollie. He has invalidated his current lap, so he'll have to go again if he wants to set an actual lap time. This is Pinko. Now he has begun his actual lap. And there are only 3 cars on the race course right now. Hazel, Pinko, oh, I'm sorry, 4 cars. Hazel, Pinko, Low, and Ollie. Those are the 4 cars. Pinko and Ollie still trying to just set laps. Low is probably going to bring it in at the end of this lap, though. Excuse me. Ollie actually has a low fuel warning going on. Excuse me, I'm sorry. There's Low, who's going to move over so Ollie gets a better chance. And you can see he's being very, very aggressive with the ERS through some of these sections because of that low fuel warning. Downhill, and one last serious corner. It's another 90-degree corner. This one has a decent amount of runoff on the inside and on the outside, but the outside runoff kind of vanishes relatively quickly. Now Ollie full on the ERS, full bore down the straights, coming out of that last little bend. 33, 34, 35, 6, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. Will move up to 6 on the timesheets, 141.506. Now, the interesting thing will be, will Ollie be able to get into the pits before the time is up in the session? Pinkwell, meanwhile, 129.781 at the end of Sector 2. So it's not going to be an amazing lap. He's one of the drivers who's just gone ahead and started on the intermediates so as to save a set of softs in the race itself. Kirby is now retired from the session. Pinkwell, it's the second fastest time of everyone who's on the intermediates. He is going to be 156.566. Low has retired from the session. Hazel is still out on the racetrack. The same set of softs, and his times haven't dropped off too much. He is most definitely using this as a practice session. Taking full advantage of it as a practice session at the least. But everyone who is left on circuit has turned a lap at this point. I'll be very interested to see if Hazel will bring it in or if he's going to stay out for another lap here. The fuel's getting a little low in that car. But he will do it. He will stay out one more lap. So we're going to ride on board with Hazel for this lap. It will likely be the last lap here in this session, as we imagine that Ollie and Pinko will both bring it into the pits to end Q1. And for Ledger, Retro, and Hurricane, I'll be interested to see if they'll be allowed to advance into Q2, because they did not even attempt to set a lap time. I don't think any of those three actually even left the pit lane. the outside wall there. I don't think there's any damage. No, there's no damage on the wings of the car, so we should be good still. Time is up. Everyone is retired into the pits with the exception of Hazel. Now the question is, will Hazel stay on the lap? And yes, Hazel is staying out for another lap. It's not like it matters though because time's already up. So Hazel, who has the second fastest time, uses Q1 very liberally as a practice session with the soft tire compounds. And there's your lineup. There's all 15 of your drivers. Everyone's going to advance in the next session. Ledger tried to set a time early on, but immediately came back into the pits. And then Kinsey Retro and Ryan Hurricane did not even put a serious attempt in whatsoever. And then you see 7th through 12th all decide to use this as a burner, where they just decided to burn a set of intermediate tires so they could keep an extra set of softs going into qualifying session 2, qualifying session 3, if they make it there, and the race itself. This is where it gets interesting because everyone now is going to have to decide what kind of tire compound they want to run. That Williams, that's the Williams of Ultimate who cut off what looked to be Ollie there. I don't know where Pinkwell went. Pinkwell seems to be missing all of a sudden from the lineup. But this is where everything gets serious. You can see right off the bat, of our 14 drivers, it looks like 10 of them are opting to start at least on the medium tire compounds. Ooh, a little bit of contact with the wall there from Ultimate. No serious damage as far as I can tell. And that was Wax also. That was Wax what he had cut off. Now it's time for the run down to the castle section. Entering the castle section, one of the most tightly aggressive corners in all of Formula 1. You had a nice short run, and the corners wind pretty much until the last moment. You have to flick it in there. We're going to get through without too much of an issue. This is Danny JJA02, currently the only representative of the Renault team and one of only 2 representatives for the Renault power plant. Meanwhile, farther back, Ryan Hurricane, XRRL Ledger, a similar place on the racetrack, and we could see that turn into some interesting qualifying shenanigans if they use DRS to help give each other a tow down the straight. Also note just behind both of those Ferraris is the Mercedes of XRRL Steel. And just a little bit behind them is Kinsey Retro and the Red Bull. Very interesting because this Mercedes will have the draft help from the Ferraris ahead, so we can see some extreme speeds already. That Mercedes already up to 200 miles an hour and climbing even faster. 205, 207, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 213 miles an hour before they get under braking. A little bit of contact there with Ledger. I don't think Ledger's going to be too happy with that. But Steel is gone. Now Ryan Hurricane is going to have to keep him mind that Mercedes is being very, very aggressive behind him. There's a little bit of a stack up now going on behind Ollie of cars on the racetrack. Oh, and that's something that's happened. Who is that? I think that's one of the Ferraris. Yeah, that's Ledger. Ledger has had an incident there at the end of that short back straightaway. No damage to the car, though. He's going to keep it going for the moment. But meanwhile, the very first driver to set a time is going to be, by the looks of it, Ultimate and Wax. Ultimate with a 141.971, and Wax is going to cross the line with a 142.887, and they're both going to be followed by Danny JJ02, 117 at the end of Sector 2, and at the end of the lap, he's going to be saying a 141.460. That's the fastest time yet. And now here comes Herbie in the Mercedes, and at the line, that Merc is going to put down a time of 143.075. Not very competitive compared to the other cars that have gone through here. And now this is going to be where it gets interesting. Steele is going to have a little bit of draft from Ryan Hurricane up ahead. Not a lot, but it will definitely help. The Mercedes bad fast in a straight line. Herbie has set a time of 143.075, but something has happened. I think the Mercedes of Herbie has wrecked there. Yes, he has wrecked on the runoff right after turn 1. So Herbie set a lap time and then immediately got knocked out. An absolute travesty here. Ollie, something just came off that car, but Ollie, having trouble, was not able to set a clean lap his first time by. Where's my Hurricane there? Trying to see if there's any damage to the front wing. It does not look like it, so Ollie, as long as he has the fuel, will be able to keep going this round. Only one driver has set a time on the softs. That's Steele with a 141.442. Here comes Ultimate as he's braided into the pits. I imagine we'll see Danny do a similar thing very shortly here. Oh, and something has happened there, and that's Ollie. Ollie has spun it around there. And that's in the castle section runoff. He's finally gotten it back going again. Oh, and Hazel's right there, though. Well, that couldn't have been nice for Hazel. But the shocking thing for Ollie is that technically his lap is still legal. If it was Q1, it would be fine, but it's Q2. You need to actually have a serious competitive time. Hazel still flying, but that's definitely going to take a chunk off of his lap time. 1:15 right now. So he's going to be way slower than he wanted to be. Way down on time. Part of it probably because he was held up by Ollie there at that first really blind castle corner. Steele is retiring from the session, no need to continue pushing. So he will join his Mercedes teammate in withdrawing from Q2, although Herbie, his withdrawal came from an accident, so we know that Herbie will not be able to advance to the next section. Meanwhile, this is MCR Path, 35.444 at the end of Sector 1, as he is now beginning the run downhill in the castle section. To close out Sector 2, Path's teammate Ultimate currently has the third fastest time. 1:15.906 at the end of Sector 2, so it's not looking very good right now. We saw the Mercedes were turning 213 at the end of this straight. I'll be curious to see what kind of speed these Williams are turning. 194, 195, 196, 197, 198, 199, 200, 201, 202, 203, 204, 204, 205. Now, it looks like it's only 205 at the end of the straight, but Path has set the fastest time thus far, though, 140.474. Lowe is in the middle of a lap, Beastian is in the middle of a lap, and Ollie is going to try another outlap here. One more serious corner for Lowe. Had a little spin out on the first, on the twistier section of that front straightaway in Q1. But I imagine he's put that behind him. He's going to go for a full flying lap now. Down the straight, the DRS is going to pop open here. But he's going to brain it into the pits. So he abandons his chance of setting a lap. It wouldn't have been a fast lap, though. Granted, it was looking to be on the pace of a 150, and everyone else's turn 145s or better. But still an interesting decision. Beastian, though, will stay out, and he will set a time of 147.258. That's not good enough to get him by Herbie. He's still 11th right now on the timesheets. Zola, who has just crossed the line, set a time of 143.192. This here is Ledger, who is on an outlap right now. We're going to ride on board with Ledger silently for a full lap here around AZERBAIJAN in Q2. That's a lap on board with Ledger, and for now, that's the fastest lap in the session in that Ferrari, 140.283. But of note, Lowe and Ollie still have yet to set times. Now, Ollie is on the track right now. He's on pace to set a time, but I don't know if it's going to be a very competitive one. 40, 41, 42. It's good enough for 7th, 142.129. And here comes Lowe at the line. He will finally set a lap time this next lap if nothing goes wrong. Of note, Kinsey Retro, Hazel, and Beastian are all on the outside looking in. They just need to overtake Herbie. Herbie's time of 143 will not improve. Oh, and Kinsey has retired from the session. Kinsey has retired from the session. He feels that he will not be able to improve. So now for Hazel and Beastian, it's very plain that they just need to overtake Herbie, and they can make it into the session. Ultimate's now retired from the session as well. Actually, if you overtake Herbie, you might be able to overtake Zola as well, so that's interesting. Because for now, Zola's time, despite being slower, technically is being listed as being faster than Herbie's. Danny is now retired from the session. This is Hazel. Right now, he is the most likely driver to set a time that will get him into Q3 if nothing goes wrong. It says he has 4.8 seconds up on the straight, which would be a monster lap if that is true. Well, coming out of the straight, he was 4.8 seconds up. He has passed all the serious corners. The last tiny bit that's not really even a bend down the front straightaway. The DRS is going to pop open. at the line, Hazel is going to put down a monster lap, 1:40.077. Zola has been knocked out, but he's on another outlap right now, trying to see if he can get another shot. Low is going to finally set a lap time, but will it be a very competitive one? 42.777. He is on the bubble. Wax is 10th. He is the most likely driver to get eliminated. If Zola improves, Wax could get knocked out. So Wax is out there trying to set another lap. There's a minute left. He has bounced off the wall there. I don't know if there's any damage on that car or not. But hopefully we'll get a good view. There does not appear to be any damage on that Alpha for right now. So it's going to come down to Wax and Zola for the finals driver to transfer into the session. As Hazel put down such a monster lap that he has locked himself in to the next session. Last serious braking corner. Now every corner after this are at full throttle through. There are the two cars that need to make it into the session. Oh no, Low's already in, sorry. It's Zola. Zola's in. There's Zola on the track. Zola is currently in turn 2. He has begun his flying lap. Wax beginning his flying lap now. This is Zola. Down that short back straightaway. Another 90-degree braking turn. Right on top of the curbs. Very, very short by this track standards at least. Then a turn around. Opens it up. And at the end of Sector 1, Zola is up by 0.6 of a second. That would be enough to get him into Q3 if he can keep that up. But what about Wax? Wax needs to improve, so he'll stay over Zola. He is also up by the same amount, so the gap technically still in Wax's favor. Zola has clambered up through the castle section. Now it's Wax's turn. He is going to go through the castle section this time. He makes it. Zola now on the downhill run, and at the end of Sector 2, Zola is going to be 1.6 seconds up. There is definitely going to be a fantastic lap. Both of these guys are going to knock some time off, and there's a possibility that they might take Low out of the event if they both set a good enough time. At the end of Sector 2, Wax, he is up by 1.3 seconds. Coming down the straightaway, the DRS has popped open, and the tracing point the line is going to set down a time of 1:41.603. Wax is on the outside looking in. He needs to do something to knock Low out. The DRS is going to pop open on the straight, and at the line, in the Alfa Romeo, XRRL Wax is going to set a lap time of 1:41.610. The McLaren gets knocked out at the last second. And that will bring a close to our session here. Soft tire compounds were the tire of choice, as Low, Herbie, Retro, and Beastian will not advance. And Ollie and the mediums and the Alpha, Ryan and Hurricane the Ferrari will advance. Wax in the Alpha, Zola in the Tracing Point, Danny in the Renault, Steele in the Mercedes, Ultimate and Path in the Williams, Ledger in the Ferrari, and Hazel in the Tari. With Ultimate, Danny, and Ryan and Ollie being the only ones starting on medium. So this could be a very, very interesting event. Standing by for the moment. Preparing to load up Q3 here shortly. And of note, Herbie having an accident in Q2 takes him out of the hunt of contending for Q3. Also, we still don't know what happened to Pinko, because Pinko did show up there in qualifying session 1, but he's been suspiciously absent in Q2 since. Alright, here we are. This is it. The final qualifying session for the day. For the entirety of XRL, tomorrow is a new day. Obviously. That was honestly probably the most redundant thing I think I could say. Ultimate will be the first driver to come out onto the circuit in this final qualifying session. Considering how long a lap is here, these drivers may only get 2 or 3 serious attempts at sane laps at this very, very technical circuit. It could be very interesting, to say the least. Currently, he is by a significant margin the first driver onto the circuit. There's going to be very clean track all around him. Hurricane is now beginning his way out. Seal is the second car out, and it looks like that is going to be Wax, who is going to be the third out. There's Danny, who's the fourth car out. Then you have, that's not Ultimate, that's Path behind him. He's going to be the next one out. Then that's going to be followed by Ollie. Ollie's going to be followed by Hazel, and then Hazel is going to be followed here by Hurricane. And that means Zola and Ledger are still in the pit lane and have yet to begin their first flying, start staying up at least for their first flying lap. But Ultimate, on the run downhill right now, he knows he has a massive gap on everyone else. He's just kind of saving a little bit of fuel. Now he's going to start opening it up, full bore. The Williams are not very fast in a straight line, but Ultimate and Path are making up for it by having relatively good cornering speed. DRS is open. 203, 204, 205, 206, right before they get onto the braking road. And you can see there, that is one of the Ferraris. I believe that is Ledger, who's now beginning his out lap. And Ultimate began a flying lap now. Williams' teammate, this is Path, who's now opening up on the straights, still warming up the tires. Very interesting to continue to doing that when you're on the straights. That can take away very valuable time there. And something has happened, and that is Ledger, and the Ferrari, who has gone off there in the runoff, but he's able to bring it back on the track without too much of an issue. Danny now, he is beginning his flying lap. Everyone is out on track now. It's going to be a very busy circuit. Ultimate, he's going up through the castle section right now. Whoa, look at that thing kicking it sideways. It's going to take some time up, but if you don't think you're wrestling around the circuit, you're thinking wrong, obviously. Coming around, second to last serious corner, now down to the last final corner. At the end of sector 2, that little twist is going to take a lot of time off. In a bad way, but 1:15.877 for Ultimate. He's only going to have time for this lap. He'll have to come in, fuel up, and then go again if he wants to better his lap time. It's not going to be a great lap, but will be the benchmark that everyone else is going to have to hold themselves to for a few seconds at the least. At the line, XRL Ultimate is going to put down a time of 1:40.485. And the next car who's going to cross the line to begin for a lap is going to be significantly different and massively favors the Mercedes. He's already up at 202 miles an hour. The DRS pops open. 207, 8, 9, 10. At the line, 142.023. He's a lot slower in the corners, apparently, though. Wax has set a time, 140.953. Danny has set a time, 140.724. Path to the top, 139.915. Ollie has set a time now. Hazel has set a time, 142.023. No, Hazel set a time, I'm sorry, 140.107. So now, Zola and Ledger are the only two drivers left on track who have not set a time yet. The gap, the spread is approximately about 2.2 seconds from the top to the bottom at the moment. Zola, one of the two drivers who needs to set a time. Here is Ledger. He will be the 9th driver to set a time if he doesn't invalidate here in this final series corner. 115.842 for the Ferrari. Slides a little bit right, a little bit slidey in that thing, but he's going to have great straight line speed going down here. 187 already. 192, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 198, 199. The DRS pops open. 202, 3. 204, 205, 206, and at the line, 140.323. Zola is next, and last. He will be the last driver to set a lap time in the session, and then from here on out, it's all going to be improvement. Zola, 141.522. Does not have the fuel to make another lap. This is Ledger. Ledger does not have the fuel to make another flying lap. In fact, I don't think anyone does. We're going to be in a little bit of a short lull here as everyone is going to try and rush into the pit lane to get more fuel and go for another shot. But for right now, MCR Path in the Williams is looking very, very good because he's got the fastest time thus far. Trying to see if he can improve, but he's going to be very, very low on fuel. I don't think this is going to happen. It looks like he may have been down at the end of Sector 1 as well. This is the cleanest track is going to be for him, though. Yeah, he's down by 1.8 seconds. It would honestly be for the best for him to bring it into the pits immediately. There it is. He will bring it into the pit lane. The first driver to come back out is Ultimate, though. Sorry. Is Ultimate. He's already running down. He's already exited the mid or back straightaway at the end of Sector 1. Now beginning through Sector 2 here. Ultimate currently has the 4th fastest time on the racetrack. By him getting out significantly earlier than everyone else is helping him a lot. He could have loaded that thing up with a ton of fuel and he probably would be in a good position because he would have the time to set an extra lap. While a little bit further back, this is Hurricane. Him and Steel are both on the circuit right now, beginning their out laps as well. Steel, the slowest right now, despite being the fastest car, Steel is not making that thing perform to its maximum. With hesitation, it seems, through some of the corners. But he is going uphill now. But for Path, not Path for Ultimate, down the front straightaway now. The DRS pops open, and it will be enough to bring that thing up to about 204, 205 miles an hour. As he now begins his flying lap, he hits 206 for just the briefest of moments. Zola is going to come out on the circuit. but he won't be a factor for Ultimate. Ultimate's already by him. Now the question is, will he be in a position to actually improve or not? A lot of drivers taking their slow, easy time gain out onto the circuit will be very interesting to see. I think a lot of them will only have one serious lap to go. Ultimate is in a position to have 2 serious laps. At the end of Sector 1, he is just about even just a little bit slower than his prior best time. Ledger is caught right there behind Steele. Steele, it's not going to be an issue for him. He is in the middle of a flying lap right now, and nobody is in front of him. There's going to be a little train that forms up behind him unless he gets a massive gap between himself and the cars ahead. This is Danny J. He has Ledger ahead of him, and behind him he has Path. This is actually going to very negatively harm Path, because Path doesn't really have an ability to pull off the circuit. There's not really very many places you can do that, and with so little time on the clock, that's not a really ideal thing to do. This is Steele now, coming into the uphill that begins the castle section. Ooh, very close to hitting that inside wall, but it's still clean, it's still good. This is Path, though. Lap, and Ultimate, will he improve? It says that he's down by 2.5 seconds, but he has enough fuel for another flying lap, and he will not take advantage of it. He is going to abort, so Ultimate will not improve. Ryan Hurricane is in the middle of the lap. He's up by about 0.36 seconds right now, going through the castle section. And it's going to get very interesting here. Look at this. This is with Hazel. There's a car in front of him, and then further up, this is Ledger, and he's got the Williams of Path, who's your current fastest driver, ahead of him as well. Steele at the line, 141.519. That Ferrari is closing in on the Williams on the straight without a doubt. 205, 206, 207 at the end of the straight. And I don't think... Oh, and Steele! Steele has totaled the car! There. Now, it looks like he may have missed the braking zone and totaled the car by bouncing into the wall at the worst possible moment. So now for Zola just needs to see if he can take 3/10 off. Right now, 3,000 off, and he's in the position where he has the potential of taking 3/10 off. Zola barely missed Steele, and he's not letting that get to him, considering that he's up by almost half a second right now. Path is out on the circuit, trying to see if he can improve. Behind him is Ledger, and behind both of him is Hazel. A little bit of a skip in that AlphaTauri going uphill there. Hurricane has invalidated his current lap. Danny going into the final series corner. He's up by 0.8. That would be massive. In fact, that would be enough that would bring him up into second if he doesn't take off a little bit more time somehow in the straight. The fuel is very low. He is being extremely liberal with his ERS usage right now. Ollie and Zola have completed their final laps. They will not be able to improve anymore. Coming down to the start-finish line in the Renault. Danny to the top, 139.864. This is going to be where it gets interesting. Ledger coming to it at the line, goes up to third. Path is going Hazel to the top, 139.650 now. Hurricane not in a position to improve. Wax is coming down, but he's significantly slow on pace. In fact, he's going to bring it into the pits. And that means the session is ended, and Hazel, at the last minute, will steal the pole position. An outstanding job. This is your pole setter for the fourth race of the XRRL series. 10 drivers, and this is your lineup. Just want to say, Hazel, Danny, Path, Ledger, Ultimate Hurricane, Ollie, Wax, Zola, and Steel. A very, very stunning run here. Anyways, it is now time to set up for the race itself. Now, the word from Zola is that it's going to be a sunny race, although there will be a little bit of cloud cover late in the event. So we are anticipating a clean green racetrack the entire run today. Also, for those of you who are just joining us, we have just wrapped up qualifying. Only 14 drivers were able to actually set times. Pinquo was a 15th driver and was definitely attempting to, but for whatever reason the game would not let him attempt in Q2, so he will be forced to start at the very back of the field here. Standing by right now. We are anticipating that we will go green in about 4 minutes or so. So for the moment, you can go ahead, take a break, go grab whatever. We should go green in about 3.5 minutes. car field here at Azerbaijan. It's just standing by until we can properly get underway. For those of you who missed qualifying, not too many massive incidents, but the two accidents we had in qualifying to Herbie and Steele, both of the Mercedes cars, came when, after they set a lap, they would fail under braking to make turn 1 properly and would hit the runoffs at turn 1. But other than that, although we've had a few cars go around low in the McLaren, one of them in Q1, we've not had too much when it comes to many major instances in qualifying. Now, that could become different in the race itself, obviously. Also, no, we could see if any of the Mercedes are in the back of are you going to have to use DRS, we could see some impressive speeds here. We might honestly see speeds of up to 216 miles an hour, 215, 216 miles an hour down the straight if Mercedes have DRS and a little DRS train going down straight away. So that will be something else to look forward to. I'll actually have the thing brought up just so we can see the actual speed that the cars will be hitting down the main straight. apparently there's an issue with the lobby because now suddenly people seem to be forced to getting disconnected. And yeah, apparently we're going to have to deal with a lobby restart here. Yeah, apparently the game kicked him. Oh, and I just got kicked. That's impressive. The game kicked Ryan from his proper starting position. We're going to try and get into the actual proper race lobby shortly here. Alright, here we are. This is the lobby where they're going to try and get everything properly set up. Just going to have to bear with us for a little bit longer here, everybody, because we need to make sure that everyone gets on the proper tire compound that they'll start with. The big benefit of having a lobby restart like this is that it enables everyone to start on fresher tires, so the drivers on the softs will absolutely appreciate that. They'll be able to get a little bit more mileage out of those before we get too far into it. So thus far in the series, single stop races have been the dominant effect. If you can make a race in a single stop, it can mean massive point results. In fact, every race thus far has been won by somebody who's only done a single stop. So if we can see that, we could see that happen again. This track isn't going to be terribly aggressive on tire wear. Most of the corners are very slow, although they will be under heavy braking, so that will put a little bit of wear on the tires, but there won't be a lot of side-to-side wear, because the G-forces the tires will be carrying through the corners won't be too extreme. Here we are trying to get everyone properly into the lobby. They're still waiting on a few drivers. Excuse me. Okay, so while we're still waiting on everyone to get properly loaded in here and properly set up for the race, real quickly, we're going to go over the standings when it comes to the driver standings as they are right now. For the moment, Ledger and Ollie both have 0 points each. Kinsey Retro has 4 points. XRRL Herbie has 4 points. MCR Path has 6 points. Pinko has 10 points. XRL Still has 17. Young Maneuver has 18. XRL Low has 18. Hazel and Ultimate are tied with 20 each. XRL Wax has 27. Ryan Hurricane has 29. Danny JJ has 41, and XRO Zola has 48. So some favorites already starting to develop in the point standings as they stand right now. When it comes to the Constructors Championship, though, Alfa Romeo, in a reversal from what we saw in X1, X2, and X3 last season, they're struggling very badly right now. Only 10 points for them. And the AlphaTauri team is 20 points. The Mercedes team only has 21. The Haas F1 team has 25 points. The Williams team has 26 points. Then in the Racing Point team, they're 5th on the sheets with 30 points. For the McLaren, 35 points. For the Renault team and the Aston Martin Red Bull team, they're tied with 41 points each. And in the Ferrari team, it is 57 points. Anyways, we see everyone readying up, so we should be loading onto the racetrack relatively shortly. We will basically be dropped onto pit lane for a bit, and then afterwards we'll be taken off of pit road. We'll try and keep a look on the back of the field to see if some chaos happens at the start, which I imagine it probably will. I do think this will probably be another race where we will see less than 10 drivers running at the finish, primarily just because of how chaotic and abusive this racetrack is. We are waiting on Herbie to properly check up so that way we can load onto the racetrack itself. Or at least load in the pit lane, then afterwards we'll have to load onto the racetrack. But everyone will be starting on fresh tires instead of the slightly worn that they would have carried over from Q2. Fingers crossed, hopefully it won't take too long for everyone to get properly loaded up here. The way that those dust particles just kind of phase into existence then phase out really gets on my nerves, just saying. Just waiting on everyone to properly ready up so we can get onto the racetrack proper to get underway for a race. Race that we anticipate will probably take about 95 minutes to 2 hours in length. Come on, game. Get them readied up. Come on, game. Let's get it going. on, game. There we are. Now people are starting to properly ready up. We should be underway on the racetrack very shortly. We only have 4 more drivers need to get properly readied up. 3 more. 2 more. 1 more. Please let Pinko start game. There we are. 4, 5, and it's lights out. The way we go here at Azerbaijan. You can see the puffs of smoke boiling out across the field as they go down the straight. And already they're going 3 wide. The 2 Alfa Romeos are going to make contact. The Mercedes are going to make contact with each other. There's a bunch of winglets and debris scoured all over the back of the racetrack. But at the front, it's going to be Hazel who's going to start opening up right away. Look at this 3 stop strategies. Oh, God. Neck and neck. Look at the Ferrari caught there in the middle of the with the Williams, and now that's going to cause a massive scramble. They're nearly 3 wide back here. Path is trying to make something happen. There's Ultimate. Ultimate's into the wall. And now Ultimate's going to start hemorrhaging positions. He needs to figure out a way to keep a little bit of clean track ahead of him, so when they get to the castle section, there's not going to be an issue. He's right there with Zola, and they're both going to go around. And now there's an instant. Wax is involved as well. Wax, wing completely torn off of that car. Zola, that car has been turned completely around. We still can't see him because the trees are blocking the way. Significant wing damage on his car as well. That's going to be a full course safety car. Now the good news for everybody though is that it was a full course safety car and no one got taken out of the event. So everyone who got damaged in those first few corners, basically pretty much the first third of the racetrack, will have a chance to come in, repair the wing damage, and then go for the rest of the race. Kenzie Retro, because he was not able to set a single lap time in Q2, he ended up electing to use the hard tire compounds to run. And it says Herbie has left the session. Hopefully he'll be able to get back in before we get too far into this. But we're already seeing a bunch of drivers jumping into the pits to repair damage to their car as Hazel brings them around the first corner, the second corner, to pick up the pace car. Zola is now into the pits. The question naturally is going to be, how long is it going to take drivers like Path to catch up to the back of the field, though? Also, for Kenzie Retro, it's going to be great because he's on the hards, and now he's going to be starting way higher up in the field on those hards. He's basically gained a truckload of positions without really having to do anything but keep his nose clean. Although, to be fair, it's a lot harder said than done here at such a tight circuit like Azerbaijan. Not only is the circuit tight, but it's also just 90 degree after corner after 90 degree corner. In fact, when you come here, pretty much the first almost every corner here is 90 degrees, to put it to you lightly. Or if not 90 degrees, it's within 10 degrees of being a 90 degree corner. So Path has now caught the back of the field. Lowe is the next one who will need to catch the back of the field. It's going to be a little bit hard to do it here going up through the castle section. It can be done. I'm just saying it's a little bit harder to do. As we see, he's already navigating his way up. Try and catch. The car is ahead. Wax will be the one after him, and Wax is going to be followed by Ultimate, who will be followed by Steel, who will be followed by Ryan Hurricane, and the real interesting thing will be Zola. And apparently, Ledger has just gotten a penalty for a collision he supposedly had with Herbie. I'm not sure how accurate that assumption actually is or not. It'll be interesting to see if they also go green this lap or not. The lights are still on the pace car. I've not gotten word that the safety car will come in this lap, so they may go one more lap just so Zola has a chance to properly catch the backfield. Not only Zola, but also Ultimate Steel and Ryan Hurricane. Here we are. They will all now catch the field very shortly. You can see them up there. Hurricane's a little bit farther back in the order. starters. Herbie is coming into the pits, and I wonder what is going on here. It looks like they're performing a simple, normal tire change and serving a penalty potentially. So Herbie is now going to come out on the track, and he will now be behind Zola. That shouldn't, though, take too long for Herbie to catch up to the back of the field. And so we should go green here on going on to lap 4, I imagine. To put things in perspective, Hurricane is still on this straightaway that Herbie is flying down right now, so... And Zola has now caught the back of the field. Also, Kinsey Retro is on the hard, as we said earlier. Ultimate has now made the same decision. He is swapping to the hard tire compounds as well on his Williams, so that Williams is going to be one of the slowest cars on the track, but Ultimate trying to see if he can work out a way to do what will basically be a two-stop strategy. Realistically, a one-stop, but technically two-stop, considering he will have made a stop under this yellow flag. And now the entire field has properly caught up, and Hurricane, a time penalty for a collision with Zola, but we were watching on our screen and we did not see a penalty between the two of them. So hopefully those penalties will be removed post-race, because we did not see those penalties actually occur. Now the question is, will we go green this lap? We have not yet got word, and there it is. Safety car will officially come in on this lap. You can see the pace car starting to pull away from the field here on the straight now. Here we are. Green is out. Hazel opening up the gas. It is now time that we see everyone flying here as they dive into turn 1. Look at this move. Wax trying to get on the inside low, and Ultimate's going to shoot on the outside. They were 3 wide for a brief moment there. And Ultimate is already there fighting with Low. Now going into turn 2, and there's contact, and that's Low. And Low has gotten turned around, and that's going to be another yellow flag. There's multiple cars involved already in turn 2. Please, game, do not disqualify Low. Alright, looks like he's finally been able to get going properly now. But there's going to be a lot of damage to the cars in the back of the field here. Meanwhile, Ollie right there with Ledger putting extreme pressure on him going down these straights. He's looking to make the move. If one of these guys have a mistake here going into the tunnel, into the castle section, it would be a massive catastrophe. But everyone, it looks like, is going to get through it without issue. So now, Hazel already has 3.6 second gap. But this is going to be the interesting part, because Ollie has Leisure right behind him. And the anticipation is that the Ferrari is going to be faster than the Alfa on the straight, doubly so with the assist from the draft. Already an overtake happening, going down the straights, the turns in the straight. Look at that, ain't going to look very good. He hits the wall, but he's going to be able to continue for now. But there is damage to the wing, and he's significantly slower. He may have to come into the pits to repair the damage. Now the Hustle Pinko is trying to make something happen. Ledger has lost positions as well. Danny ended up taking the second position down the straightaway. And now Ledger is going to be right there, caught behind Pinko, and he wants to make something happen to counterplay that. Next straightaway, Path is back there a little bit further back, but this is going to be the real battle between Ledger and Pinko. Will the Ferrari try something at the end of the back straightaway. That's exactly what he's doing, and he'll fall in line, but he compromises his exit from that 90-degree corner. So now the Haas is on his outside. The Ferrari has the preferred lane to his entry, but it doesn't matter. Pinko holds even, putting the power down. Now on this next series of straights, it looks like that Ferrari is going to be trapped behind the Haas for a time, as Danny is going to do everything he can to try and open a gap. The Ferrari looking all over, trying to get some clean air on the nose of that car. Now they come up to the castle section. Again, the field's still relatively close together. A mistake here at this point in the race could be devastating for a massive part of the field. All these drivers from 11th on back have gone ahead and decided to make another stop. Hazel now 6.7 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. But this is going to get interesting because all four of these cars still have draft on each other. Half is the last in this little train, but Ledger's right there behind Pinko. He has the draft off the Haas, but he does not have DRS yet. He needs to see if he can figure out some way to get a little bit closer on the straight. He's losing time on the straight, actually. The Ferrari is not fully set up for the straight line speed. It's set up more for the handling sections, apparently. But the Haas closed in on the Renault ahead. So right now, the most interesting battle on the track is Pinko and Danny, and then Path stalking Ledger for the moment. Low back into the pits, repairing damage from the incident that he's had. It's been a very, very rough start to the event for Low. Has actually dropped off the back of Ledger just a bit, as Ledger is closed in on Pinko through the castle section. Now the gap is starting to open up just a little bit, but you can see the Ferrari much more capable than the Haas in the twisty sections. Anytime you get on the straight, though, it goes back in Pinko's favor. So once again, these three cars all on top of each other. We're anticipating DRS will activate this next lap. DRS is open. And despite having DRS, Ledger is still losing it on Pinko because Pinko has DRS on the Renault of Danny. Danny was not able to get far enough away from the Haas. So now, it's going to be a scenario where Danny has to hold off Pinko, and Ledger needs to figure out some way to get even closer to overtake the Haas. He's got DRS again on the second straight, but Pinko still has DRS on the Renault ahead. And the rest of the field, the gaps are pretty spread out, almost all across the board. 1.4 seconds or more. It's basically this little scenario from second to fourth that's the most interesting one to watch at the moment. Please excuse me. Travesty! I apologize for stepping away there for technical issues, but travesty, right? All of the cars got held up by Danny going a little bit slow, making a mistake, going uphill through the section circuit. Now, Ledger is going to overtake Pinko. He's going to overtake Danny. The Ferrari is now up into the second position. Path is now there also. Kinsey Retro has spun around. Kinsey has turned the car. There does not seem to be any serious damage on the nose, but he has fallen significantly back, and there may be damage to the rear wing of that machine. Danny, the damage is mounting. He has massive front wing issues right now. He has dropped all the way to the 6th position. He's going to have to make it into the pit lane. It's no longer safe for him to stay out on the racetrack. Pinko trying to make the DRS work against Ledger, but now he's in the opposite position that Ledger was in earlier. Path is right there, ready to make something happen. Not only is Path there, but Ultimate, even on the hard tire compounds, is there, threatening to make something happen as well. Danny is coming to the pits. He's going to lose a bunch of positions from this. But right now, it's this battle right here from 2nd through 5th. This is going to be the interesting one. Ollie now has a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And Ollie has withdrawn from the race. XRRL Ollie has retired from the session. Anyways, here going up through the castle section one more time. The gap's still relatively consistent. If anything, Ultimate seems to drop off just a little bit from his teammate Path. Williams are very slow in a straight line though. Their advantages have come through the corners. Pinquo is slow in the corners, but his advantage comes on the straight, so he is honestly the most likely driver of this group to make a move. We could see him make something happen on Ledger if he's within DRS range. But he did not get a good exit through that last serious corner. He's losing time fast as they close in just a little bit. He's at 8/10. He's losing time rapidly, but he does have DRS, so he will be able to utilize that to close in just a little further ahead. The thing is, he'll only be able to close in. He won't be able to make anything happen. Path is right there behind the Haas, but he can't make anything happen to the Haas because the Haas is also being able to use DRS as a defensive mode against the Williams behind. Ledger going all over the racetrack trying to break the draft. Pinquo actually closes in just a little bit. Wax now comes into the pit lane. Vician is in the pits as well, apparently? No, Danny just overtook Vician by DRS on the straight. Okay. But now, circumstances have changed. Vician is back on Danny. The thing is, the gap is already more than a second. He's going to be able to use the DRS to close in just a little bit, but it's going to go in favor of the Renault. So Danny, that position may be his for good now. Ultimate dropping off the back of this three-way battle because Enrique is not able to get the DRS off of the Williams ahead, and they're both struggling because they can't seem to make anything happen ahead of them. And now something has happened to Steele. Steele has had a massive incident there. There is no longer a front wing on that car, and we are going under a full course safety car now. And Hazel, who had opened up a 16-second gap on the rest of the field, he might consider coming into the pits and using this as a free stop. That's exactly what he's going to do. He is going to jump off of those soft tire compounds. Now, will Ledger stay out, or will he pit as well? Ledger is coming into the pits, but Pinquo is staying out. Path is staying out. Ultimate is staying out. But overall, Hazel is going to come out ahead. So Hazel got a free pit stop out of it. He is now on the mediums, fresh mediums as that, while the drivers behind will all be on worn mediums or worn hards. So Hazel opened up a massive gap early on, is going to help him significantly going forward in this event now. Ledger is going to drop all the way back to the 6th position, but he's going to be on fresh mediums compared to the worn mediums or hards of the cars ahead of him. Wax had just made a pit stop earlier as well. And this is Steele. He has finally made it into the pit lane, and he will replace that front nose and front wing assembly completely. right now the top 6 have all gathered back up. We're still waiting on everyone from Kinsey to Herbie to properly catch the back of the field. And that will honestly take a while, considering that Herbie has just come out of the pit lane as well. Not Herbie, but Steele's come out of the pit lane as well. Herbie was out the pace of going a lap down. Now, this is that Danny has left the session. Now, that's supposed to be an AI car, though. If that's AI controlled, but he will still catch up with the back of the field. We'll stay under the yellow flag for roughly another lap, though. Field going under a blistering pace under the yellow flag. 154 miles an hour. 170. Some blistering pace under the yellow flag in an attempt to keep the engines cooler and keep the tires nice and properly warm. Good news for Herbie and Steele, they're both in Mercedes. They're the fastest in the straight line, and Steele has just retired from the session. The car is destroyed as he was rushing to catch up to the back of the field. XRRL Steele has had a massive accident that would knock him out of the race, and it happened under the yellow flag as he was trying to bring that Mercedes up to the back of the field here. All right, here we are in the broadcast booth with us. One second. In the broadcast booth with us is XRRL Steele. Steele, go ahead and include your audio. How did that car get destroyed on the straight under yellow flag? What happened there? Alright, well now, Steele, I just have to ask, since the start of the XRRL series, we've seen the Mercedes, although they've been the fastest in a straight line, and the fastest cars by basically every metric, the results haven't been there whatsoever. Now the question ends up being, are the cars set up too much on a knife edge? Are they acting too much like a diva to extract the maximum performance from the machines? Thank you very much, Steele, for being willing to share your thoughts, and it's a tragedy to see that you've been knocked out of this race extremely early before we even get to the quarter of the way mark. Alright, well, there's your word from XRRL Steele. One of the two Mercedes drivers, his teammate Herbie, is currently last of all the cars still running on the racetrack. The field has now properly gathered up, so we anticipate that we'll see them all go green here at the start of lap 13. At the start of every restart thus far, we have seen an accident in the first 2 to 3 corners, and there is a serious possibility that the same thing may happen again. And if it does, the drivers like Beastian, Wax, Hurricane, Low, and Herbie would be the one at the biggest risk of losing and gain damage in it. What the world? Zola! Zola! Something's happened to get through, is closed up. He's fallen all the way to 13th and now has, I believe he has wing damage as well. Yeah, there's wing damage on the tracing point now. So under yellow flag, he's the second car, both in Mercedes car, he's the second car to have issues. And Zola may have no choice but to come in and pit this lap now to repair the damage. And there's the word, safety car is coming in this lap. Just got penalties for collisions, but now they're coming down to the green flag. This is going to be where it gets interesting here. BCN, and Wax runs right into the back of BCN. It's going to knock a chunk of lean off the nose of that car now. And BCN is going to lose a position. Ryan Hurricane moves up the eighth. Now Danny is trying to make something happen. Farther up, look at Ledger. Ledger wants to make moves happen on the cars ahead of him. Off of that second back straightaway now. It's all a bunch of very tight twisting sections at the moment. Cars is slightly knocking the walls down, knocking the walls wider it seems. Look at that Ferrari, a little bit skittish there through that little left-right chicane. But here they come up now. Pinkwa in second, but with some of the oldest tires in the field. Hazel's already opened up a 1.4 second gap. Whoa. And Path is losing touch with the Haas right now. Ultimate is within Path, and Ledger is right there behind Ultimate. They both want to make something happen. Now down the front straightaway they go. Position to make moves right now. The DRS is not available, so it all has to come down to draft. Doesn't matter to Danny. He's making a dive on Kinsey Retro at the end of the straight. He made it stick. Oh, wow, look at that. Kinsey come right in front of Hurricane. Hurricane had to swerve to avoid him. Now Hurricane's going to lose a position to Low, lose a position to Wax. He might lose a position to Herbie as well. Trying to close at least on Kinsey Retro. Farther up though. Oh, and then something happened to Kinsey Retro again. There's no wing damage on that car, but he's having a lot of trouble keeping that thing on the track properly. It's sliding all over the place coming out of the corners, and he's losing his ability to properly defend his position because of that. On those hard 13 lap worn tires, he has fallen to 8th now, despite having gained position on every yellow flag. Oh, and that's Ledger! And Ledger has gone off circuit now, and he has wing damage. He's back on the way now, but it's going to be very, very difficult because he has to figure out a way to keep the power going. His teammate Ryan Hurricane is just ahead, but the Ferraris, despite being very, very capable, have not been able to make anything happen, though. Now the field's beginning to head downhill in the castle section. The gaps between everyone are all about a second or more right now. The only exception is Ledger, who is within 0.8 of a second of his teammate Ryan Hurricane. The thing is, Ledger has significant wing damage. He's going to have to pit. Closing in just a bit on Wax down the straightaway. Looking to see if there's a way to get by the Alfa Romeo ahead. DRS not yet enabled for the field. There's the DRS. It's been enabled now. But Herbie can't do anything to Wax because Wax has DRS on Kinsey ahead. This could get interesting though because Danny is currently within half a second of Ultimate. So Danny and the Renault may be on a slow comeback run to try and get back up through the field right now. Up through the castle section one more time. They're going to do this a lot more in this race though. Roughly 39 times more. Not 39, I'm sorry. 36 times more. Check out this little gaggle of cars. From about Herbie up to Kinsey Retro. They're all relatively close to each other, and if things go certain ways, they may be able to start opening DRS on each other. But right now, this is the most interesting and most potential location that we'll see some extreme straightaway speeds. Look on the ticker down, not ticker, but the monitor there on the bottom right of the screen. You will see in miles per hour the speed that Danny has. He has the draft off the Williams ahead. He's going to have DRS. He's already at 202 miles an hour. 204, 205. He's looking. He's going to make the dive at the last moment. He thinks better of it, though. But the question now is not if that overtake will happen, but when it will happen. He's got the DRS again on this straight. It's a much shorter straightaway, though. Williams is kitted out well enough on the straight that he's able to stay ahead of the Renault, though. So back into the technical sections they go. Ultimate running on the same tire compounds that he's been on since he came in and pitted for damage on the lap 1 incident. But meanwhile, something else of note, Path is beginning to close in on Pinquo, and we may have another battle for second open up shortly. Also of note, Herbie is closed in on the back of Wax now. Wax in the Alfa Romeo trying to hold off a Mercedes, and that car skids. That's going to hold both of them up just a bit now. Right there on the back of Zola, although those are not points pay positions yet. Depending on how many more drivers may or may not drop out of the race, that can change how that goes. Down the straight though, Path is going to have DRS on the Haas ahead of him. The car is already up to 202, 203 miles an hour on the straight. Williams is just not very capable in a straight line, even with the DRS assist. Ultimate struggling with a similar scenario, although Ultimate's problem is that he also has much more tires than Danny ahead of him. And Herbie are now coming into the pit lane each to put on new tires. Tire strategy all over the place right now in this event. Ledger and Zola are also going to complete the overtakes. Oh, this is a gaggle here. Look at this here. Zola, Herbie, and Ledger all on top of each other with a bunch of them all having DRS on each other. This could get a little bit hairy, boys. You might want to get this thing figured out now before you end up with an accident in the corner. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They will get it figured out in the end. Herbie back up to 11. Zola to 12th, and Ledger has now gone all the way to 13th, despite the fact that the Ferraris were fighting in the top 5 earlier in the event. Back to this battle. Path trying to see if he can make something happen. To Pinquo ahead. This is the closest he's been all time. He's got the DRS on the straight. He's on the inside going down across the start-finish line straight. Move the Williams up into the second position for the moment. The thing is, the Haas will have DRS back on him, going down the short back straightaway, though. The DRS is popped open on the Haas. He's within 4/10, less than that now. But the straightaway is already in the braking zone, so the position for now will be in the favor of Path. A little bit further back, Ledger is going to have DRS on Zola ahead of him. This is the battle for 12th and 13th position. Ledger very abusive with ERS usage and still can't get by Zola. Might have one more shot going down onto this short back straightaway. We'll have DRS one more time. Still not enough. He's nearly out of ERS at the end of those two straights. He's going to have to save up a little bit in the corners if he wants another shot at this. Ferrari very aggressive, putting on ERS on every straight, regardless of if there's an actual overtaking zone at the end of it or not. Oh, Zola, a little bit of a mistake. You're in the castle section, and it's blocking Ledger. Ledger's still laying on the ERS across the entire circuit, trying to do everything he can to get by Zola. They're going downhill now. Brings the charge back up to 18%. He'll have DRS again. He's already laying into the ERS. He's not staying off it for a second. He's been right on that Tracy Point's rear bumper for an entire lap, but has not been able to make it work. He's going to be out of ERS. He is out of ERS now. He needs to use the DRS to complete the overtake. Zola goes to the inside and defend. Ledger makes a huge lunge, but it's too late. He's compromised. Ledger continues to hack away at the back of the tracing point. He's using DRS and ERS again on every straight. On every straight he can, he's using ERS. He looks to the inside. He's going to be there. But it doesn't matter because his line was cut off on exit by Zola. Gets recharged when you're going through the slower sectors. Also of note, there's another battle that's beginning to form farther up. This is Herbie, who has caught Wax, who has caught BC, and BC is on 18-lap medium tires. Wax is on a 1-lap medium, and Herbie is on 1-lap soft. And all of these guys are threatening to catch Ryan Hurricane. Always coming to the pits. Look at this. Ledger is still hacking away, but he's actually losing time on the cars ahead. This is where it's going to get interesting, folks. There's going to be ERS and DRS available here on the street for Wax and Herbie against Beastion. It's going to be a little DRS train. Wax on the inside of Beastion. Beastion can't defend against either of them. Now, it's going to be Herbie and Wax. They both have DRS. Herbie can't do anything on Wax, though, by the looks of it. Unless he makes a late dive, he's going to think better of it. Wax is going to get through. Wax move him up to the 9th position, and Herbie is now 10th. He needs to see if he can make something happen with ERS and DRS on this short back straightaway. It's not going to work. Wax had a better entry onto the straight. And Ledger has damaged the nose of the front wing of the car, so his attempts at going after Zola have come to a close. Elsewhere on the racetrack, though, Penquo, he's faster in a straight line than the Williams by a massive amount. He might have a chance to do something to Path on the straight if he can just be within a second by the time they get to the detection zone. He's laying on the ERS, trying to do whatever he can to stay within DRS range of the Williams ahead. He's got DRS, but he's still hovering around 8/10 off of the back of him. Danny is actually closing in on these cars, and Danny has significantly more ERS and has been doing most of his closing without DRS as well. Made a little mistake there at the end of that short back straightaway. But the big thing is that Danny is closing in on Pinkwell and closing in fast. Also, Hazel has now opened up nearly as much of a gap on Path as we anticipated he would, considering what he did earlier in the event. Beastian has just got DRS overtaken by Zola. So Zola is now trying to work on a slow charge back up through the field, but it's going to be a lonely one. Wax and Herbie, meanwhile, are doing a little bit of a drag race down that second straightaway. At the end of it, who's it going to be? I think it's going to go to Herbie. Yes, it will. So Herbie is going to take ninth away from Wax for the moment. It has now happened. Danny has caught Pinkwell, and Pinkwell might not be able to get DRS off of Path. It's going to be very borderline. Pinkwell, he was more than a second out, so he does not have DRS. Danny has DRS on him, though. Will the Renault make a dive bomb at the end of the straight? He thinks better of it. But the Renault is now there. Let's see Danny laying onto the DRS and DRS on the straight, closing in rapidly. Might be a little too rapid. He's already side by side and will steal that position without issue. Pinkwell's trying to fight back. He's trapped on the outside, though. They're still neck and neck. It's going to be another drag race at the end of Sector 1. And it looks like the Haas is going to be just ahead by the smallest of margins. They're still side by side, and now Danny has to fall back in line behind the Haas. And that's on the mediums. Here we are. This is the move. Danny has the DRS on the straight and will easily overtake the Williams, but he is using the ERS to help him, though. But he is now ahead, and he may be able to start setting his sights on the Williams ahead. He has now overtaken the Haas. Meanwhile, a little bit farther back in the field, Herbie has soft tires while Ryan Hurricane is on hard tires. And Herbie is going to have DRS and ERS down the straight here. Will that be enough to get him by? He's got it both. He's closing in and on the inside line. Move Herbie now up into the 8th position. I don't think he's going to go for it. He thinks of it, but backs out. He come in and then backed out. Thankfully, there was enough track that he was able to do that safely. Has fallen to the 4th position now. He will have ERS and potentially DRS on the Renault ahead of him. Oh, and that's a virtual safety car. Something has happened. And Hurricane and Ledger, both of the Ferraris, have had accidents at the same time on different parts of the track, and that forces a virtual safety car. Ledger, the day is going from bad to worse for him. The front wing completely ripped off of that Ferrari. And of note, that's the race leader, Hazel, who's behind him. DRS has been re-enabled. We are back under green now. And Lowe has just gotten by Kinsey Retro as Retro decided to take that virtual safety car to pit and finally get off the hards that he started this race on. Ledger, and it's done, and he's done, and there Hazel has now been involved in an accident, and the entire track has been blocked there, and the field is coming, and there's just a yellow flag, but the cars aren't despawning, the entire field, oh my god, there is no room on the track. The Chars, who have just been knocked out, Beastian and Ledger, have not been despawned yet. And the field is being artificially bunched up on the racetrack, and there's also a risk that the game may disqualify one or more of these drivers. Well, they're finally gone. The issue is finally over, and Hazel and Path and Danny have all been artificially brought together, but Hazel has wing damage. Path has not, no, it's not have wing damage. Does Danny have wing damage? No, he does not, and neither does the Haas. And Hazel, who has been the dominant driver all day long, now may have no choice but to pit. In fact, I think he has no choice but to pit now, and the guys behind him, Path, Danny, and Piccolo, will have to fight amongst themselves to take home the lead of the race. Well, that was the biggest bunch of bullcrap I've ever seen. Now we're only down to 11 cars on the racetrack. Danny not able to really do anything as Piccolo now has the top spot. But the biggest disappointment is going to be for Hazel. He has roughly half the race to try and do something to close back in to the top of the field. He is on the medium tires, as is Kinsey Retro, who pitted, and MCR Path, who pitted as well. Path and Herbie on the straight. Herbie has worn softs, while Path has fresh mediums. So I imagine as this battle goes on, it will swing inevitably in Path's favor. If Hazel is able to come back and win this race after that accident there, it will be an amazing run, to say the least. It's going to be an interesting one, because here's the thing. Herbie in the Mercedes is way faster in a straight line than the Williams is, even with the DRS. So Path is going to have to lay heavy on the DRS in order to get by on the straight. Lowe has just gotten by Danny because Danny is jumping into the pit lane to get onto a different set of tires. Path is abusively using ERS and DRS just to hold on to the back of the Mercedes. He's not able to do anything to him, though. But now, Danny is going to come right out in the middle of this battle. And that's Hazel, who's a little bit farther back as well. Danny is on hards. He will more likely run those hard tire compounds to the end of today's race. Path continues to put the pressure on Herbie as Herbie's tires continue to fall away from him. Well, now I want to listen to Corn. Don't make a move through there. He's making the move through there. They make a little bit of contact, and they're not yet to the castle section. It's going to be really, really difficult. The Mercedes has a really bad run going into the castle section, but Williams is all over him, trying to find every line he can, and stacking up both Danny and Hazel behind them. Williams is on the outside into a braking zone now. They're still there. Now the Renault is right there as well. Look at this. This is going to be a mess. This is going to be an accident waiting to happen. This is an accident waiting to happen. This is an accident waiting to happen. Going down the main straightaway now. Pat still has the advantage over Herbie, but now Herbie has the done, and that's it. And there you are. And the entire field is going to be destroyed right there on the straightaway. The Mercedes went right into the outside wall, and the Renault and the dominant car of the day, Hazel, had nothing that they could do about it. And the entire field is forced under a safety car. All three of them into the booth to see if they have anything to say about what just happened there on the straightaway. All right, and here's our first driver who has come. Here we are. So in the broadcast booth, we have with us Hazel and Herbie. Starting with Herbie. Herbie, what happened to cause that massive accident on the straight?
Well, I had that incident with Path. Side by side. I don't know what corner it was, but it was near to that part there. And it was getting quite busy. And I tried to put my foot down, try to get up to him. And I went onto the turn left and right, and I just put too much curve, and it spun me off a bit, and I think I took Hazel with me.
Alright, do you think... Go ahead. You still there, Hazel? Alright. Yeah, I hear you. There's a really strong echo, but I can hear you for the moment. Yeah, there's a really strong echo coming from your end, Hazel. Danny, real quickly, thank you for coming into the broadcast booth. Danny, go ahead in your own words. What happened there in that massive accident?
Yeah, it didn't help for me when it did it. I was going to say, I clarify, I didn't take any too much curve, and As went into the back of me.
Well, from all three of you, Danny, Herbie, and Hazel, all of you were contending for a potential good run. Hazel, real quickly, if you can, what happened going up through the castle section? It looked like when we were following the lapped cars as they got into an accident, was there anything you could have done to avoid hitting them? Beastian. Quickly, I want to say thank you to all three of you for being willing to jump into the booth. If any of you have anything else you want to say, feel free to go for it.
Probably Alan, sorry mate, and Danny, also sorry.
Alright, well there's the word from the three drivers who were all taken out in that massive accident there on the front straightaway, and we are now down to only 8 cars on the track. I said, right before, like 10 seconds before the accident happened, I said with the way that the Williams and the Mercedes were fighting, with the Renault and the AlphaTauri close in, I said it was an accident waiting to happen, but I didn't think it would be that. I thought it would just be someone right wide and going into the wall at the exit of turn 1. I did not think it would be that massive stack up we saw going down the straightaway that we are still under a full course yellow flag for. And it's going to artificially bunch the entire field up, and with only 8 cars left on the racetrack, and the most dominant car of the day, Hazel, now taken out, Pinkwell now has the race lead. The Williams drivers of Ultimate and Path have been a little bit faster, but Ultimate and Path have had a lot of trouble being able to make overtake happens on the straightaway. So, Pinkwell, who has been a little bit stronger on the straightaway, may have the advantage going against Ultimate, going down the straights here. So it could be a very, very interesting event to say the least. And then you have Lowe, who has had multiple accidents throughout the early part of this race and in qualifying, and now is up there in 3rd position. Kinsey Retro is on path to potentially win this race by virtue of only making 1 pit stop. He started on the hard tire compounds. He's running mediums now. If he can make those mediums last to the end, he might be able to take the race win, because I don't see a way that Pinkwell was going to be able to make those softs last to the end. Then you have Path behind him. Path is on the hards, and he will not pit again for the rest of the race, we imagine. Hurricane is there in the 6th position, and the Ferrari, he has 6-lap medium tires, and the safety car will come in this lap. 7th position is going to be Zola. Zola has a 1-lap old hard tire, and like Path, he will not pit for the rest of this race, we anticipate. Wax is on softs, but we anticipate he will have to pit again, because although they're fresh, there's no way he's going to be able to make those softs laps. Another 22 laps here. Coming to the green flag. And we are under the green flag now. It's going to be a while until the DRS opens, and Pinkwell needs to gap the field as much as he can while he can do it. And he doesn't have to worry about the Williams closing in on him on the straights. Right now, Hurricane already trying to make something happen against the Williams and Path on that short back straightaway now. Of a 15-car field, only 8 of them are left running. Just getting to this point in this race, I think you could argue, would be an impressive achievement in itself. 3-second time penalty for Wax. That's not going to help him very much. Also of note, when it comes to time penalties, Ultimate and Wax are the only drivers with time penalties right now. 3 seconds against Ultimate and then 6 against Wax. Because this is a street circuit and it's kind of hard to actually have areas where are illegal, there's not really been a lot of risk of accidents happening. Oh, okay, Danny just joined in left. Don't worry too much about it. But anyways, right now, Pinkwell has opened up a gap of seconds on Ultimate, is trying to extend that as much as he can. Wax has just gotten by Zola, though. Down the straightaway. A little bit further up. Path is using Draft to try and stay in touch with Kinsey Retro ahead. Kinsey's going to be in a very, very interesting position because right now Kinsey has better tires, but as this race goes on to its very end, that advantage is going to go in Path's favor instead. Section once more. The top four all starting to gap each other, but everyone from fifth on back are so relatively close to each other. Oh no, and that's Lowe! And Lowe has now had an accident into the wall, and I think there's some significant front wing damage on that machine. Yes, there is! He's into the wall, and he's got the Williams right behind him. Oh no, look at that! Oh, that's good. That's bad. That's bad. That's Hurricane and Wax now involved in an accident. Again. So now the back of the field has had another accident. Solo's gotten out of it without issue. I think Wax has some significant front wing damage. No, Wax seems to still be okay wing-wise, it looks like. Somehow. No, there is wing damage on that thing, I think. DRS has been enabled. Not, he is good. Okay. It looked like there may have been wing damage. But Lowe is now having to come into the pits, as will Ryan Hurricane. And that's going to be great for Kinsey Retro, who has now come up into the third position off the back of that McLaren having the accident in the castle section. And here he comes back. Path on the inside with an DRS overtaking. He hits the inside wall, so Wax goes back into the fourth position. So for now, at least, Wax is definitely on the better end of this. The thing is, Path has hard tires. If he can keep that Williams off the wall, he'll be in a position that he might be able to get back by Wax once Wax finally makes his stop. I think there might be wing damage, though, on Wax's car. There is wing damage on Wax's machine. But does he realize there's wing damage? He keeps going as if there's not an issue for now, at least. Oh no, and Path! Zola has overtaken Path as Path went into the wall. So another accident in the back of the field. The field is now completely spread out from the front to the back. And Path will have no choice. He's going to have to pit to fix that front wing. And his strategy on the hard tires has fallen away from him. Zola is now up into the fifth position. Wax is now up to fourth. Kinsey Retro is third, as is Ultimate. And Ultimate has fallen off the back of Pinkwell very significantly. Everyone is so spread out that there's basically no real usage of DRS anymore. We might see some between Path and Hurricane. No, it doesn't look like it is. Path is taking a long time in the pits, actually. This is your current race leader, Pinkwell. The thing with Pinkwell, though, he will have to make a pit stop before this race ends because those softs are not going to last to the end. This is Ultimate, who is currently running in the second position. And it's a little bit more up in the air if Ultimate will be able to make it to the end or not. On tires, Ultimate and Kinsey Retro are in the same position. We don't know if either of them will make it to the end on the tires they have. It's possible, but will it be safe and practical as these tires get more and more worn? Navigating this track becomes more and more treacherous. Wax is actually closing in on Kinsey Retro very slowly, and it looks, I think Kinsey might be falling off the back of Ultimate as well. So right now, if no one else has to pit, if Ultimate and Kinsey do not have to pit again, it will more than likely be a victory by Ultimate, because even though Ultimate has a time penalty, it's only 3 seconds worth, Kinsey is not even close enough to make something happen. Pinko and Wax will have to pit before this race is over, though. Wax with the softs trying to close in on Kinsey with slightly more mediums. Right now, this is the most active potential battle on the racetrack. This has a feel of a classic Formula 1 race from like the 80s with the extreme rate of attrition, the extreme focus on speed here. It honestly feels a lot like a race from the 1980s, I won't lie. So right now, Wax is now within the 1 second gap, so Wax might be able to utilize DRS on Kinsey ahead. Ultimate, though, gone ahead, has swapped over to soft tires that he will run for the rest of this race. Pinko will still need to swap tires. So here's the thing, Ultimate apparently seems to think that he can make these softs last these last 16 laps, and I do not have that level of confidence in the softs lasting that long. Kinsey honestly may have one of the best chances right now because he might be able to pull this off without stopping. So right now it's going to be between Pinko, Kinsey, and Ultimate. And right now, Kinsey just needs to let Wax go because Wax will eventually pit. Those 7-lap worn softs will not last. Kinsey does not need to worry about Wax. He will take himself out of contention for this race in time. He has to use the ERS and DRS on the straights to help him gap the rest of the field as much as he can. That's exactly what he's doing. We still anticipate our top 2 drivers to pit at any time. The interesting part is going to be when what happened there. Zola nearly spun himself out right in front of Ultimate. But Zola's going to hold the position over Ultimate for just a little bit longer now. I think Ultimate's going to want to get by that tracing point as soon as he possibly can. But that's going to be easier said than done. Neck and neck down the straight. And with a little bit of VRS, he made it work. That was risky, but he made it work. Now Ultimate is back on the warpath. He needs to see if he can catch Kinsey Retro on these soft tires. If Kinsey pits, it's going to go in Ultimate's favor. But if Kinsey does not pit, Ultimate needs to go like a bat out of hell. Kinsey will not have DRS on the straight against Max by the looks of it, so he will not be able to utilize the DRS to further his gap on the drivers behind. Pinko and Wax, both drivers still anticipated to make a pit stop before the race is over. We do not know where Pinko will come out in relation to Kinsey Retro and XRRL Ultimate. We do not know if Kinsey Retro can make his medium tires last to the end of the race. And we do not know if Ultimate can make his softs last to the end of the race either. Just want to say, good job on Wax. He is en route to a potential top 5 finish, if not better, depending on how things go for Retro and Ultimate here. So I just want to give him a good thumbs up because it's been a very, very chaotic race for Wax. I'm going to change the interval to gap from the leader because that gives us a better idea of what the race is actually turning out to at the moment. And Kinsey has spun it! Kinsey has hit the wall and spun out! And that may have just given the race win to Ultimate, because Ultimate is now right there, and there's wing damage on the Red Bull! That Red Bull needs to be very cautious going through here, because without that front wing, it's going to be very hard to make this bend right here on the racetrack. Ultimate's right there! He's going to make the overtake! Very, very risky move when that Red Bull is damaged, but he did it. So now it's going to be just Ultimate versus Pinko. I don't see any way that Kinsey can stay on the track. Kinsey is staying on the track irregardless. He's got wing damage. I don't think this is a good idea, but he's going for it anyway. But Kinsey has worn mediums. Ultimate has fresh softs. Kinsey, you probably should have pitted then, mate. He doesn't seem to care. He's still going for it. The gap between Ultimate and Pinko, 25.2 seconds right now. And slowly closing. But we still anticipate Pinko and Wax to make pit stops before this race is over. Kinsey dropping off the back of Ultimate and dropping off fast. It looks like this race win has been snatched from his hands. It's still a fight, though, between Ultimate and Pinko in the Haas. Also of note, Lowe is beginning to close in on Zola now. So there may still be a top 5 in the cards for Lowe if he can get the DRS and ERS combo on the tracing point going down the main straight. He's within about 2 seconds. $12 laps to go. 12? Yeah, 13, but because you have to count the lap you're currently on, so 13 laps to go. Ultimate now down 23.4 seconds against Pinkwell. Pinkwell might want to consider coming in sooner rather than later, so that way he can make full use of softs. For the soft that he's on right now end up hurting him more than fresh softs can help him. For those of you who've just joined us, a 15-car field, and we've seen several massive accidents, including two that involved the dominant car of the day, one between BCN and Ledger, going uphill in the very start of the castle section, which blocked the track, but yet no yellow flag, not even a virtual safety car, so let alone a full course safety car. The leader, Hazel, was blocked by it, took damage, had to pit, and when he came out of the pit, as he was charging up through the field, the Williams of MCR Path and the Mercedes of Herbie were fighting. And right behind him was Danny and the Renault and Hazel, who had been the dominant car of the day. Herbie went into the inside wall on the main straight, bounced across the track, and collected Danny and Hazel, and all three cars were taken out in a massive accident. And since then, we've had a few more smaller incidents in the back of the field which have artificially spread anything out, but no other DNFs since that point. We're at roughly 12 laps, more like 11 and a half laps to go. The question right now is what can Ultimate do? Because Pinkwell has made his pit stop. He has put on new tires, but he is 4.7 seconds ahead of Ultimate, and Ultimate is trying to close in on the Haas once more. Wax, Lowe, and Zola are all fighting for the 4th and 6th positions. But of note, of these three cars, the one in the back has the worst tires. The one in second has better tires, and the one in the last has the worst tires. Oh! And Kinsey! This is the same time! This is the second time he's gone around at this section of the race track. And now he's gonna fall to dead last. Ooh, that is not a good shot. That was not a good shot there. You can see the front wing hanging on the back of the car there, right? It finally gets taken off. So Kinsey will have to pit again, and his race is basically done for. I don't think there's any way he's going to get better than 8th unless someone farther up in the field has an accident that takes him out of the race. He's been running with front wing damage for a while, and it looks like it's finally caught up to him. Pinkwell is gapping Ultimate now. So this race may be decided, assuming no other accidents happen. At least the race for the win. But for the spots further back, Lowe is starting to open up a gap on Zola and Hurricane, but Zola is slowly falling into the potential clutches of Hurricane behind him. Lowe actually might be able to catch Wax before this race ends if the tires don't go to complete crap. But everyone, 4th, 5th, and 6th, are fighting very, very bad tires that will only get worse, especially for Lowe and Zola. Wax is in a similar position because Wax is going to have soft tires that will have already peaked and going to start going downhill by the time the race's end comes. So from 3rd to 5th, it's going to be interesting. 6th to a lesser extent will be interesting as well. In fact, Hurricane is actually closing in very quickly on Zola. Hurricane might be able to make something happen to Zola here very shortly. Real quickly, I said going into this event that making only one stop would be a big benefit. When it comes to stops, everyone has made 2 stops or more today. And Pinkwell, who was not able to qualify, and Zola is coming into the pits. Zola, 14-lap-old hards, too much for him. He's coming in, and he'll probably throw on some softs to go full board to the end and try to go for the fastest lap point. It's a bold strategy. Let's see how it pays out. Hurricane up into the 5th position. The next driver he'll need to focus on will be the Renault of XRL Low. That was not the rhyme. The gaps, though, have opened up massively. There may be damage. It looks like there's damage on the front wing of Wax's machine. I'm not trying to rhyme, I swear. He's hanging in on third position right now. But we've seen wing damage already cause accidents before. An X3 here last season, a massive accident occurred in the castle section due to wing damage that the leader was not aware of. Wing damage has taken Kinsey Retro out of contention for this race win. Wax is going to be tough because if he can drag that thing through the rest of the race, he may have a third in his hands. But if he hits the wall, that could not only end his race, but depending on how long it takes the game to remove his car, where the car crashes at, it might take out the drivers behind. Lowe is pitting as well. Lowe is not willing to push the mediums farther. He also wants a shot at the fastest in-race lap. He is putting on the softs now, move Ryan Hurricane up into the 4th position. And Hurricane is 10 seconds off the back of Wax. Also note, Zola and Lowe are now back to where they will be fighting each other. Zola has DRS and ERS on the McLaren of Lowe now. No. Path has gone off and around. He was running in the 5th position and was potentially going to run down Hurricane, but now he has no front lead anymore. And while one Williams is dropping off but may come home second, the other Williams' race may have just gone away from him. With no front lead, he's going to be significantly slower on the straight, and he will have no choice but to bring it into the pit road. DRS has been re-enabled. We are back under a normal green flag track now. Ultimate has pitted, and he's serving his penalty right now also. So now Wax is going to be the interesting one because Wax is within 5 seconds of the race leader. Pinkwell also pitted. I didn't notice, but Pinkwell pitted under that brief yellow also. So now he's on fresh tires, and he also is going to fight for the fastest lap in the race. So almost the entire field is now in position to fight for the fastest lap. Path will probably swap on, put on a new wing, put on red soft-wall tires, and then go. He's still in. He's still in the pits. Wow. Okay, no, he's still in. But he might be able to come out, and he'll also be fighting for fastest lap in the race. Hurricane will be the only driver on track, outside of maybe Wax, who won't be fighting for fastest lap here at the end of this event. Lowe has opened up a small gap against Zola now. Pankow already opening the gap again, once more against the people behind him. And Pankow, who missed qualifying, has started dead last, involved in some instance early on, is en route to a potential victory here at Azerbaijan. think just went through some sort of lag spike or something because it just lost all the telemetry for... It'll probably come back once the leader comes by the line, but it's weird. A purple sector 2. We're just gonna go quiet on our end. Oh, and Kinsey Retro's out! Well, he's retired on pit lane, apparently. Kinsey Retro's retires in pit lane, and now there are only 7 cars left in the race. Has just set the fastest lap again. No, Ultimate is closing in on Wax and closing in fast. The win might be denied from Ultimate, but second is still within the cards. Battle for second still underway, or about to get underway here. The lead hasn't been challenged a whole lot actively on the racetrack itself. It's been primarily second that keeps picking up the pieces when the lead drivers end up with accidents that keep happening throughout the event. However, Penko has been very, very solid and consistent most of his race. Fingers crossed for him and that team that nothing else happens. I'm going to try one more time to invite Kinsey Retro into the party and see if he has anything to say. And if he doesn't join that time, I can't do anything. We just got word Kinsey's not going to jump in the party with us, but Kinsey did say that he figured his race was just as well over. To avoid being a hazard on the track, he retired from the pit lane, and he's sick of being, quote, George Russell, end quote. So we are now down to only 7 cars on the racetrack. Now, due to all the safety cars, they are still within a minute of each other, although Path more likely will probably fall off the back of Pinkwell just a little bit more before this race is over. Battle is on for second and third position. Steps on the podium. And how they will sort out. And if something happens to one of these drivers, then it will go to Hurricane in the Ferrari. After his teammate Ledger ended up inadvertently causing one big accident and then setting up a massive one later on. Ultimate is there, right on the rear bumper of Wax. Wax still has wing damage. Ultimate might not be aware of this, though. We'll have the DRS and ERS on Wax on the straight, but the Williams have not been very fast on the straights to comp on the other hand. It doesn't matter. He's already there looking to make something happen. He's going to have ERS and DRS here. They're already side by side. Neck and neck. He's going to come down low, pinch off Wax a bit to compromise his line going into the final corner. Second position is going to be in the favor of the Williams now. So move Ultimate back up into the second position. Now Wax will have ERS and DRS back on this short straight though. But it's not enough by the looks of it. Unless he wants to make a huge dive at the end of the straight, which he's not close enough to do. So that battle is going to go back in the favor of Ultimate and move Ultimate up into second on the timesheets. Right now, with 4 laps to go, 3.5 laps to go, everyone's focus is going to be on turning fast laps to see if they can get the point for the fastest lap in the race. We're going to be silent, and we're normally only do this in qualifying. We're going to do this in the race. We're going to go silent right on board the race leader for a full lap here on race pace at Azerbaijan. That's a full lap with Pinkwo on board here in the late race conditions at Azerbaijan. And all I'm going to have to say on the count of Ollie, Steele, Ledger, Beastian, Herbie, Hazel, Danny, and Kinsey, thanks, Baku. Thanks. Freak out a bit because I keep thinking I see wing damage. Oh, I am seeing wing damage. Wax has damage on the wing again. The good news, though, is that he's going to be starting his final lap here. So as long as he keeps it off the wall, he'll be okay. The bad news is he has to keep it off the wall with that wing damage. Hurricane just kind of plodding along. He's going to come home in a very respectable 4th position in the Ferrari after being involved in accidents. In fact, everyone on track, I think, has been involved in a accident, or if not multiple accidents. Onto that short back straightaway for Lowe, and now Zola as well. Zola is far enough off the back of Lowe that he will not factor into a battle with him. And Path might still be able to finish this race on not just the lead lap, but I guess you could say the lead minute. But Pinquo, race leader, has inherited the race command basically after Hazel had the accident in the castle section after running into lap traffic. Now, as he comes past that final bend, checkers are out. And for the Haas machine, it's going to be Pinquo will take home victory at Azerbaijan, and he will say thanks, Baku, in a truly happy fashion. Second position is going to come down to ultimate here. And third will come to Wax. Oh, this will be interesting. There's a chance that Wax might get overtaken by Hurricane because Wax had time penalties and Hurricane did not. And yes, Hurricane knocks Wax off the podium at the very end. Well, that got interesting. This is Lowe, and he will round out the top 5 in that McLaren. Here's Zola at the tracing point. And last, but certainly not least, will be MCR Path. Oh. Okay, yeah, cool. Cool story. Yeah, driver of the day, Pinquo, I can agree with that considering he came from last to win this race. He missed qualifying also. I'm going to try one more time to invite Pinquo here. But this will see us start bringing the lid down on a very, very bizarre Baku race, Azerbaijan race, whatever you want to call it. And there's your end results. Ultimate fastest lap, 141.242. But Pinquo wins. Ultimate second, Hurricane third, Wax fourth, Lowe fifth, Zola sixth, Path seventh. Kinsey Retro DNF'd in 8th, Danny 9th, Hazel 10th, Herbie 11th, BC in 12th, Ledger 13th, and Steele got 14th, while the last place went to Ollie in 15th. We don't seem to be able to get Pinquo here in the party with us right now. I'm going to try one last time, but I'm also going to start setting up for broadcast in. For everyone who's been here for this event, I hope you enjoyed. This has been easily one of the craziest races we've had in a long, long time in XRL, period, with less than half of the field running at the finish in an already small field to begin with. But irregardless, we had a lot of decent on-track action until there just weren't enough cars on track to support it. All right, and that will bring a close to our broadcast here at Azerbaijan in a week's time. I know someone said earlier we were going to go in a week's time, but I honestly have forgotten. But we will see you in a week's time for another full-length race on this channel. Tomorrow on the main channel, X1 will be covered at 5 p.m. UK time, and at 8 p.m. UK time, it will be the X2 event. Kinsey Retro will be covering the X1 event. At the same time, 5 p.m. UK time, I, on the alternate channel, will be covering the X3 event. So I highly encourage you to check out one, if not all three, of those races tomorrow. Anyways, I've been St. Lear 13. It's been a bizarre race. I need to take a break. I need to calm down and give my brain a little bit more of a rest, because that was nuts. And I look forward to seeing you all at a later time, at a later place. Farewell.